Welcome back. This is your host, Noura Almasri, and this is Echoes of Impact with Noura. Today, we're going to deep dive with my guest. You've seen in last episode, and he shared a lot of powerful information for any small business. Welcome back, Ryan, to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really, really well. Thank you for having me back. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you for coming back. It's always great to have you. Can you remind the people who did not maybe watch the last episode, like who are watching you for the first time, who are you? What do you do? And then we can get into the topic.
No problem. My name is Ryan Herpin. I am the co-founder and managing partner of Impact Strategies Consulting, a business consulting firm that likes to do things a little bit different, but we pride ourselves in our ability to get the results when it seems impossible.
Awesome. It's very important to see the result because sometimes it feels like you're working, and there is no result. Maybe sometimes you're working on the wrong thing. And the topic that I would like to talk about today is risk management, because a lot of us, like business owners, when we go do a business or anything in life, like there's always risk, but we do not take that in our mind. Like we get excited, we want to do things, we forget about our risk, what can happen. And for example, in a partnership, sometimes, oh no, we're not going to have an agreement by a lawyer because why should we have it? We're best friends, we're family. And then when bad thing happens, now they don't know because they did not plan for any risk. Now, this is just one example, but I'm gonna give you the floor to talk more about risk. What type of risk can face the business owner?
So ultimately, the business owner is the most liable part of the business. If anything goes wrong with the business, any kind of lawsuit, financial struggles, whatever it is, the business owner is going to take the brunt of the hit. And it's extremely important to understand risk and risk management. If you're not paying attention to that, your success can be brought to a halt without even realizing there was a problem in the mix.
So what can you give us some example about some risk that you've seen with your client maybe, and what you teach your clients on, really, like you need to be prepared for this?
Yeah, so a few critical things to really be on the lookout for is we all want to grow our business. We all want to be successful. We all want to make as much money as possible or achieve our goals, right? Well, you've really got to pay attention for, are you able to scale correctly with the resources that you have? Most small businesses have limited resources. If you're trying to grow past the resources available to you, you're going to run into not only the problems of resources, but the problems that come with stress and chaos trying to compensate for the lack of resources.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's kind of risk you most seen? Like, is it with financials mostly, or is it somewhere else, like from your experience?
So ultimately, all risk is going to boil down to having an impact on financials, whether it be product quality, service quality, customer relations. All of it does have an impact on financials. But ultimately, the most common risk I see is the inconsistency to provide quality service. If we get wrapped up in the chaos that is trying to grow and market our businesses, sometimes we can overlook our ability to continuously provide high quality.
Yeah, absolutely. I see a lot of business owners face this, especially like when you grow so fast. It's really tough. Like there's the tough period, like until, yeah, I need more staff. Maybe I need something else. So how do you think business can avoid this and can be prepared for these risks?
So I would say the best practices really include conducting regular risk assessments, prioritizing risk by impact, and implementing proactive measures such as insurance and diversifying revenue streams. Involving team members in all these assessments is really going to make sure you're covering everything from all angles. Trying to identify all the possible risk by yourself is really difficult.
Yeah, especially your hand is not in every aspect when your business is growing. And so what type insurance is maybe overlooked with a lot of people. So what type of insurance like they need to be aware of, like to look and maybe see what's available on the market?
So a good example, an easy one, is like for what I do as a consultant. It's really important to have professional liability, right? So to cover errors and omissions. If my team makes a mistake or gives advice that doesn't pan out to be the best option, you want to make sure you have something in place that's going to protect you for potential legal ramification and cost. So that's just an easy example.
Yeah, absolutely. One more, do you have any story that with your clients maybe or some business that you worked with, they did take this calculated risk, or maybe they did not, and what's the consequences? So, or maybe they were saved by taking that measures.
So one that I like to use as an example, as often as possible to really express the importance of risk management, is a client of mine in the past. They were very, very ambitious and very focused on rapid growth. In that process, while I was working with them to achieve that growth, their responsibility was to assess risk at the same time. But in that process, their sales outgrew their capacity to produce and to provide their service. So that caused a lot of really big inefficiencies in operation, ultimately hurting their profitability.
Mhm. Yeah. So for this, something like this, you don't, sometimes you do the marketing, you do everything, and it seems like nothing is working, but all of a sudden you get all of these sales. Everyone wants to use your services at one time. So how would you really avoid like having poor service or not fulfillment, enough products to fulfill?
So I think ultimately the most important aspect of being prepared for that is having a plan that has contingencies. Make sure your operation is set up to scale according to whatever level of business that can be thrown at you. Obviously, there's limitations with a small business, but if your processes, procedures, and standards in your business cannot support rapid growth, they need to be looked at, reevaluated, and set up for if you had a 50% increase in sales, that you're still able to sustain it. Even if it's a little more chaotic, you're not going to compromise your customers' satisfaction.
Mhm. Yeah. What do you think about hiring fast in this case? Do you think this is a good mitigation of risk, or do you think this is not supposed to be at that time?
It can be one or the other. Ultimately, it can be if you don't have the right preparations, hiring somebody to try to mitigate risk and to get yourself out of hot water can be just the worst possible decision. So ultimately, you need to make sure you have clear, defined roles, responsibilities, structure, and a plan so that in the event you need to get somebody on your team quickly, you're not dropping them into chaos. You're dropping them into a well-defined role that they can immediately add value to the team and the business.
I would add to that, like, have someone with experience. Don't try to hire someone entry level. They're not going to be able to help you even if you take this measure. So yeah, absolutely. What final tip about risk management? Like, what would you tell people to really pay attention to that now we're ending the year? So what's in your opinion that tip could be?
So, wrapping up the year, it's a good time to reflect, look back at the year you just had, and what challenges popped up out of the blue, or even the ones that were foreseen, and understand how you could have avoided it, prevented it altogether, or taken that challenge or problem and turned it into another opportunity. Reviewing what you've gone through can definitely help you be prepared for what's coming up next.
Yes, absolutely. And talking about quality risk management, we're going to continue with that with another topic after the break. Thank you so much, Ryan. We'll be back with you after the break. Guys, this is Echoes of Impact with Noura. We'll be right back.